Good morning, everybody. I'm Jules Zavot, and today is August 23rd, 2022. All right. I am so, uh, I have such mixed feelings about the discovery of uh, Kiely Rodni and her car. Um, I'm not going to say it's great. I'm not going to, there's nothing good about the situation. Um, I wish this had not happened to this young lady who had so much potential, um, who was really on the verge of really starting her life, and she would have had an amazing life. So, see, you know, every on the one hand, I wish that had never happened. On the other hand, it's an absolute blessing and a gift from Adventures with Purpose that they were able to find her so that her parents can find some peace eventually. Um, no question. I think the worst case scenario when someone goes missing is to just simply not know. To just not know is really the worst. Um, so it is it's definitely not, you can't be happy and excited and say yay they found her. You can't be upset and sad, say yay, oh they found her. The it's a it's a it's a terrible, all around terrible situation. And if there were a um, best case scenario ending to this, to have found her is a blessing. Now, I took some time. I took some time away from YouTube and all the craziness around the case that happened. I have little patience with sanctimony, right? I have little patience with people who get on their high horses and take a position that their way is the right way and their way is the only way, and they supposedly have better or more knowledge than anyone else. I have little patience for that. And the reason that I have little patience for that is because they're not being authentic. It's a power play, um, to see a situation develop that is uh, difficult, and stand back like you're some wise muse who has all the answers, and yet you don't seem to. All you seem to be able to do is come out of the shadows and uh, talk down to people like you're in some special lofty position. So there's an awful lot of that going on. And whether you're standing firmly with Mel, who you're talking about, an incredibly big channel for YouTube, um, or you're standing firmly with the Upchurch side of things because I don't know, because you're part of the Creek Squad, what whatever you're, or you're part of that very elite sanctimonious group who thinks you're better than anyone that is creating content on YouTube, then none the reality is none of it doesn't matter which side or which group you're supporting. What matters is that there's an ultimate reality. There exists an ultimate reality in the case with Kiely Rodni, um, or any Summer Well, any number of the missing, the 600,000 people a year that go missing in this country. Where are they going? You can it, and there are a percentage, a large percentage of that 600,000. They're they're ultimately being found. They were either runaways, or they were murdered, or there was an accident, and many of them are being found. But we're still getting hundreds per state that are not found ever, that just seem like they just disappear and just poof. They're just gone one day. And there's look at Michael Vaughn. This child is in his neighborhood in the day, and he's just gone. He just poofs into thin air. Suzanne Morphew poofs into thin air. Where are they? Where is Aiden Clune? Where is Dylan Rounds? Where are they? That's the question. You're living under a rock if you don't know that there is sex trafficking. You're not paying attention to the world if you believe that. We're now getting in each state, we're now getting arrests where they'll come out and they'll say, they'll come out and put in a press release that they made a large bust, a sex trafficking ring. They were able to save 30 people, and 12 of them were minors. What? 12 minors being sex trafficked? How about Allwine sitting up in his house? He's got kids. He's got a house with a swimming pool where there are parties of young people coming to his house. And what's in his computer right behind the door that opens up, the big, beautiful French doors that open out onto the swimming pool? What is in that computer that's sitting right there at those French doors? A manual on pedophilia and sex trafficking. A manual that was so detail-oriented and so complete that it made the blood of grown men freeze. These deputies were sick. There were tears. This was the discovery of hell when they opened up that manual. They had the realization that this thing had been downloaded how many times? That every pedophile in America and across the world now had a complete primer on how to do the unthinkable. And it's your children that they're looking at. It's your children that they're watching across the street and saying, that's the one. That's the one today that I want. So when you come in and you're sanctimonious, you come in and you're like, oh, let that be a lesson for you. In what way? A lesson in what way? Because I take two big YouTube creators and I see a really odd interaction happening. An interaction that is so far outside of expected behavior that I think, okay, this just went from human BS to, oh, wow, this is really interesting. There was no lesson to be learned. You want a lesson? Here's a lesson. I got a lesson. How about recognizing that the most likely location for the pedophile in your neighborhood is summer baseball or soccer, the coaches? How about your Boy Scout and Girl Scout leaders? How about bus drivers? How about teachers in the classroom? Now, how outraged would you be if somebody uncovered that your child's favorite teacher of all time was messing around with an 11 or 12-year-old boy? Your child's 13 or 14, you're like, that is such horseshit. That teacher did not mess with my child. No way. No way did that teacher mess with any child. That is the best teacher we ever had. Everybody loves that teacher. And finally, the cops, paying attention to a YouTuber, went and paid a visit. And guess what? The, the YouTuber was right. The teacher's arrested. What's the lesson there? Don't pick on teachers? Are you good? Are you going to say because teachers all the way around do a great and noble job? I'm a teacher. I started my life as a certified teacher. You're going to say you're not allowed to suspect a teacher because teachers as a profession love kids and would go to their death protecting a child, even an unknown child. I agree with you. But I also know that if you see some behavior in a teacher that feels sketchy and uncomfortable, you damn well better be paying attention. Pedophiles often put themselves into positions of authority, community trust, so that they can get close to children and nobody will suspect them. Your preachers. It it's a it would probably be an interesting it'd probably be an interesting research project to take all of the inmates in your state, identify those that were serving time for crimes against children, and see how many of them worked at Disney World or other theme parks, or were teachers, or drove school buses, or were custodians in the school, or were preachers, or were youth ministers. They're out there, y'all. They have to ingratiate themselves in order to get close to children, to have the time to groom the children. It's a nasty, ugly topic, but it's happening. So we have this situation with Kiely Rodni where you get, everybody's interested because you think, again, we've got Dylan Rounds, that's already in everybody's head. Aiden Clune, that's already in everybody's head. There's another young lady in California, Lauren Plosser. I can't remember her name. Oh, shoot. Lauren. Y'all know who I'm talking about, from Selma, California. Lauren. Okay, I'm going to do a video on her tonight. Not tonight, tomorrow night. Sorry, I can't remember her name. Lauren. Not Plosser. Lauren. And so you already have these missing people, and the whole true crime community is thinking about Dylan Rounds, and they're thinking about Summer Wells. And they're thinking about Aiden Clune. Now we got another one. We got a beautiful young woman, Kiely Rodni. She joins, and 2 days later, on August 7th, Lauren from Selma, California, goes missing. Only 4 hours away from Kiely. Where are they going? So I've noticed on YouTube that it's just like in the real world. People are divided. Have developed this sense of being my way is the right way. I'm the only one who knows the right way. My opinions are the correct opinions. And if you don't endorse my opinions, what's wrong with you? What kind of horrible slug are you that you dare to believe differently than I do? And all that it's going to do is exactly what it's done: alienate and divide. I don't want to live in a world that is basically an echo chamber. I don't want to live in a world where I say something and then everybody falls in line. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Sammy Smith is bad. Is bad. Is bad. Is bad. Is bad. Jamel is wrong. Is wrong. Is wrong. Is wrong. Is wrong. Well, who wants to live in that world? Nobody. You want to be able to make a statement and then listen to other people's opinions and how they think something else could have happened, or that they think like you think. That's that you go over on to Zav Girl's channel. That's what makes her channel so attractive. Is she gets large panels up and there's no, oh, you're so stupid for believing that. You stupid person. What an idiot. Wow, you're just using this case for views. That's all you're doing. You're just using this case for views. You're cashing in on some poor girl went missing. You're just using it. You don't hear any of that nonsense on her panels. One person says, well, I think this happened because of this evidence. And then the next person says, well, I believe it was this problem and this evidence. Another person says, well, I think it's this person, this situation, and another evidence. When you take a position that your goal is to end a conversation, to belittle the opinions of other people, you are revealing yourself to be someone who has a confidence problem. You're someone who's only willing to go out and crawl on the backs of other people to try to get noticed, instead of calmly and maturely just putting your ideas out there for what you think may have happened, and then give room for everybody else to say what they think might have happened. This is a conversation. This isn't exploitation. Nobody's using someone's crime status, victim status, as a way to, quotation marks, make money. Unless, let's say that I were to get together with Zelda. And Zelda and I, behind the scenes, said, okay, here's what we're going to do. So the girl, your foreign exchange student who's a young person, right? We're going to have her call into the show. Talking about Jules, I thought. We're going to have her call in, pick up a link, come up on panel. We're going to have her lie and say that she's from the Truckee area and that she was at the party that night. Because when it gets out, when word spreads that on Jules' channel, on her panel, there was a girl who was literally at the party, then we're going to get all kinds of views. People are going to be going crazy because they're going to want to know about little Elizabeth from Truckee at the party. And so we can ride out this little Elizabeth from Truckee at the party for at least a week or until Kiely's found. Now that, people, is exploitation. That is the exact definition of exploitation. Not a group of people that either go on panel and have a discussion about what is known about this case and what may have happened, and it's certainly not a creator who is simply presenting some kind of clip, some information they thought was interesting and what it may mean to them. That is not exploitation. If you believe that's exploitation, then you need to pick up your television and throw it in the trash. Yeah, I've told the story before. I'll never forget. On Fox News, the big one, MSN, Fox News did a Saturday or Sunday story where there was a little dog whose mommy, who's like 80-year-old mommy, had cancer. And mommy was on the 10th floor of a hospital in Manhattan getting her cancer treatments. And daughter and son-in-law come into the hospital because they're going to go upstairs and they're going to go see their mom, who's getting cancer treatment on the 10th floor. And guess who they see waiting on the elevator? Yeah. Little Ruffles. Little Ruffles is standing at the elevator patiently waiting after he's asked some tall person to press the button. So they tell this story and they want you to believe that little Ruffles escaped his Manhattan apartment somehow, made it the 6-10 blocks to the hospital, went into the hospital where he just smelled with his mommy and had some kind person press the elevator button for him. And now he's waiting for the elevator to open so he can go in and then ask some kind person to hit the button to go up to the 10th floor. This crap was run on Fox News. Now I'm adding, I'm taking some artistic liberty here, okay? I don't know the dog's name. No, the dog didn't ask someone to press the button. Neither did the dog sniff down the street until they found where its dog mom had gone into the hospital. And the dog had zero way of knowing which floor the mom was on. The dog doesn't even understand that if you get in an elevator, you're going to go to a different floor beyond their cognitive ability. But this is a story that was run on mainstream media. Fox News actually put that out. One of their feel-good pieces. My jaw hit the ground. That's clickbait crap. That's manipulation. That is exploitation. That is all the dog moms, all of we cat moms, all of us that love our little fur babies. That story was for you, so that you could get warm fuzzies and think about how your little kitty or puppy would definitely find you. That if something horrible were to happen to you and you were going to have to go in the hospital, that your little dog baby would love you so much that they would come in search of you and they would find you just like a real boy. It's sort of like a 2020 Pinocchio story, if you know what I mean. Oh, Papa Geppetto, make me a real boy. You can't be. You're a dog. That's exploitation, y'all. And that is my alarm. Okay. Because a creator finds a topic for a live and gives commentary and discussion, doesn't make them exploitative. It means that they're talking about something that they find of interest. And if you're one of those people who comes out of the shadows so that you can spread your sanctimonious wings around. So you can get drunker and shit and go on another channel and talk about all the dumbass true crime creators. Oh, they're all so dumb. Oh, they're all so stupid. None of them are smart. They're only exploiting others. You may have another agenda going on. People talk about what interests them. That's the truth. And healthy people come on YouTube and they seek out content that is of interest to them. If you are a person who enjoys crafting, then you will seek out channels that are talking about how to do certain crafts or craft shows or specific types of craft products. If you like history, there's historical videos being made. There's plenty of doctors that are on YouTube talking about the Rona. There's plenty of attorneys on YouTube talking about the courtroom. And more, we're beginning to see private investigators coming in and talking about what they do. But there's also people like us that take interest in current events. We have thoughts and opinions on it, and we come together. And you want to know what society is? You want to know what culture is? You want to know what a community is? It's people that band together because they have a parallel belief or they have a parallel need. Times that I've come out and said, I am not a detective. I am not a police officer. That doesn't mean that I don't have an interest in some of these extraordinary circumstances. I am a psychologist. I do find the characters involved in these extraordinary circumstances, I do find them to be of interest. And even more so, I find the people on YouTube who talk about these extraordinary circumstances to be even more interesting. I'm underwhelmed when I see a very small group of sanctimonious elites who like to sit around and badmouth other people who are simply having a conversation about the things that they find interesting. I've had it up to my eyeballs with sanctimonious elites. Trust me. It's going to take more than that to impress me because I see it every day. And these are people that maybe they have a reason to be sanctimonious. Maybe they have a reason to feel like they're God. But this that's happening on YouTube, you don't have a reason to feel like you're God. You don't have a reason to feel like you're better than others. You're one of us, which is one of the reasons I love this community on YouTube. So the Kiely Rodni case, the Chris Watts case, the Summer Wells case, I could go on naming them. They create a great deal of passion, and they results in also an unscrupulous group of people who are virtue signalers. Ha! How dare you talk about that? Ha! It's ridiculous. You want to know why it's ridiculous? Because you're watching. In order for you to be elite, and say, I'm better than this group of people. All of these people who are talking about this case, exploiting this case, all of these people are bad. And I'm not. I'm actually better than them because I don't comment on true crime. You're watching it. Why? I know why you're watching it. You're watching it because you're just like us. You're watching it because you're curious about human conditions that are outside the norm. You're watching it because very often these disappearances breed extraordinary circumstances. And I got to tell you something. There are many of you guys that are feeling vindicated that Kiely was found. You're using that as evidence somehow that the true crime community was wrong or whatever in what they were covering. There's a couple of real problems with the way that that car was found. And Adventures with Purpose knows that. If you listen to their presser that they did, what they called a debriefing, if you listen to it, they say this is a crime scene. They say the words, this is a crime scene. We're not going to be able to give you any details because this is a crime scene, quote unquote. Well, I've got a couple of details. I've got a couple of details that I haven't heard anybody say. I said previously that windows down on the car would have suggested a person that wanted the car to submerge quickly. Windows down on the car would have been, I want this car to sink quickly. And I said to myself, okay, so let's see. Is the window, are the windows up or the windows down? And I thought, we'll wait. We'll just wait. And then, when they get done with their investigation, then all that type of small, detail, that will all come out. And then when you look at the video, the windows were down. And people have been curious about why was the driver's side rearview mirror, why was it broken? Oh, it had to have been broken because it hit the ground. That's not going to hit the ground when it's submerged in water and there's air trapped inside. It's going to slowly come to lie on the floor of the reservoir. But it's possible if you were trying to push the car into the water and there wasn't enough of an incline or a decline, you might have broken if you had your left hand on that mirror, you may have broken it trying to push the car, which would have then resulted in you having to put the car into drive and jump out of a moving car to get it in that water. There's some curiosities about this whole thing. And if you look on the where they recovered, if you look at where they recovered the car, if you're over the water and you're looking at the wrecker, and then you look over to the left, you'll see where they've marked off a large square. There's crime scene tape around a large square, far away from where they're pulling the car up. What did they find there? Pieces of the mirror, pieces of the broken mirror. I have a great deal of curiosity about a young woman. Not that she would go and get footage of this Prosser campground. I think there's lots of people that do that. There's lots of people, we have these crimes happen, missing, disappearance happen, and then for some odd reason, they want to feel close to what happened. I mean, you got some people have gotten in their car and driven 10 hours to get to Florida, or to go to Tennessee and try to be around somewhere else. I mean, you see that. You saw people going to Shanann Watts' house to take photographs on her porch. That's crazy, right? But it's human nature. People do that. I don't know. Like wanting to go to Elvis's house, I guess. But when you look at the lakes that were in that area, or reservoirs that were in that area, and you look at all the places where you could have put in a kayak, of all the places that you could have put in a kayak, if you just wanted to go to the campground, but you wanted to spend a nice day on the water, you know, you and your little dog enjoying the surroundings, sure, that's absolutely great. But why'd you choose that area? Why'd you choose that place to put in? And why did you go along the bank all the way around the tip of the little peninsula that her car left? As best I can tell, you paddled right over the top of that car. That's some pretty good averages. If all you were doing was wanting to go see the campground that day, explain why you would put in across from the campground, go straight across, and then take the whole bank and paddle all the way along the bank around up into the little creek area and then walk up into the campground. That was either serendipity or a plan. I don't know which. Occam's razor would say it was serendipity. Occam's razor would say it was luck. But given this set of circumstances, sure feels uncomfortable. Adventures with a Purpose, they said bigger than Dallas. We cannot release many details because this is a crime scene. You don't believe me? Go to their channel and listen. I, you know, so I'm reading Alley Cattail's comment. She says, I guess we'll see. I hope the least painful results for the family. Could it have hit a tree, a bottom? It flipped. No, there was no tree anywhere. For the sake of her family. Um, I, you know, it's easy to point your finger at the obvious, and people that talk about these crimes or extraordinary circumstances like what happened to Kylie. Have you guys that are just like, oh, you shouldn't talk about it, you're hurting the family? No. No, the family's hurt because they love Kylie and Kylie's gone. That's why they're hurt. That's why they're hurt. They're not hurt that people are talking about the circumstances of what happened. Now, if someone had Rando Ronnie call in and be the mystery eyewitness to the party, they might be heard about that because that is an exploitation of what happened to this young lady. But that family fully recognizes that their daughter experienced something extraordinary. That the reactions, there's even video, and I know people I know people have talked down and said, "Oh no, she didn't mean that. No, she didn't mean that." But then at the same time, you'll also turn around and talk about how the truth leaks, that people can't help but let the truth come out. So, what are you more comfortable with? Are you more comfortable accepting that the mom, that her conscious awareness that she didn't want or has been instructed not to trigger any of the kids that were at the party, and so she's being nice and supportive while the investigation's happening, or that while she's trying to be nice and supportive as she's been instructed to do, her truth comes out? Which are you comfortable with? You can't have it both ways. There's a term called a Freudian slip. It's there for a reason. So when she talks about all the kids compromising the investigation, and then she says not compromise, and then she completely changes to a different word, it's easy to say she didn't mean to say that. That was an accident. Sure, I can buy that all day long. I can also buy that people leak. Barry Morphew was a big time leaker. I'm just on the one hand, you guys want people to discuss these extraordinary circumstances, and then when they do, then you get sanctimonious and act like you're the most principled, moral person of all, and that the people that have interest in the case and are discussing the case, that they're somehow deficit. What will happen to you, the sanctimonious ones, if people are not discussing these cases? Have you looked at what's available on Netflix and now even Prime Video and Hulu? Non-stop documentaries of crimes, missing people. Why? Because Hollywood follows culture. And we're a population that are interested in when things go wrong. And I'm going to tell you, you guys have watched this. You guys have watched me keep my hands off of the Summer Wells case, right or wrong. Maybe 3 videos were made, right? No, maybe 4. Most of these cases that go viral and go crazy, I avoid them. So why Kiely? Why did I choose to follow the case with Kiely? I was talking about Kiely before this blew up into this crazy, nutty thing. I was watching this the day after the party. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's not so long ago. It's not so long ago that I was Kiely's mom, walking the floor, watching the clock. Oh my God, where's my daughter? Are we going to end up on the 6 o'clock news tomorrow, please, God, please don't let anybody hurt her. And then, the headlights of the car turn in, and then you're like, oh, thank God. Oh, fine. Okay, she's fine. And she's home 15 minutes early. But we do that. That's what parents do. When our kids are out and they're doing what young adults do, we're at home thinking about stories like Kiely's. We're remembering when we were a child, one of our friends drove home drunk and got in a car wreck and killed themselves. We remember those moments, and we're terrified in that night. And the story spoke to me because I knew what Lindsay felt as she's sitting there waking up and realizes, wait a minute, why didn't Kiely wake me up when she got in? In every way imaginable, Kiely's mother is living my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare. That was my connection to what happened to Kiely. Why it was of interest to me. You can't say that I run around chasing these cases all for clicks and views. It's just nonsense. My history shows it. I think I don't think I ever fully believed in this whole abduction thing. And I said when it came out that Adventures with Purpose was coming, I said that was going to be a game changer, and that if they did not find her car, then that would increase the chances that it was an abduction. So to find the car, I think what was the most surprising for me was that where the car was found. I find that to be very, very interesting. I think it's interesting that the car was exactly the first place they looked, and it was right in the heart of where they spent the majority of their time searching. And 14 feet of water with, the back end even up higher than that. So you're only talking about being submerged maybe, 8 feet, 7 feet? That's odd. It's odd to think about all those drones and all those boats coming in and out. And it's weird. It's a weird thought. I mean, but weird things happen in the world, right? I mean, they do. So I think there is some question about how the car went into the water. I think that the detectives believe that the car was driving parallel to the shore before finally going off the end, which is why it was sort of. There's a couple of reasons that would be listing. If it went off, the windows are down. It went off at an angle, and where the windows are down, that is going to let in water, and so the opposite side gets heavy first, right? If it turns over on the side with the open windows down, then you get air trapped inside. Another factor that would make it sit in that strange angle was the weight of the engine, the motor. So the weight of the motor will pull it nose down. But it didn't turn over. It didn't turn over on its back. It was like on its side. It's not good that the windows were down, and it's not good that the that the driver's side mirror was broken, but it certainly is explainable. I mean, it could legitimately be that when it came to rest, it broke the mirror. I mean, it could be that. It could also be a problem of somebody trying to push the car in. So we don't really know at this point. I don't. I think for the family, this was, considering how bad the whole situation was, this was the best outcome that they can bring their baby home and be at peace in terms of not wondering and spending the next 30 years searching. So that is a blessing in a horrible nightmare of a situation. But it doesn't let Sammy and the kids from the party off the hook, not by a long shot. Um, the fact that Adventures with Purpose said with such definitive narrative, we are not giving you details because this is a crime scene. That car is a crime scene. I don't know what else you need to hear. You know what I mean? That's a pretty strong statement. They had an area roped off with crime scene tape that seemed unrelated to where the car was located. I mean, it was related. Obviously, it was right there on the shore, but on the bank. But so in terms of my position on the feud that unfolded with Ryan Upchurch and Ickmel and Rando Ronnie and Xana May or Xana Max, it's still interesting. How do you watch those videos and not think that what was going on between these four people was interesting? You have to be on some serious mood stabilizers so that you're not really having any reaction to anything, to be able to watch that chaos that unfolded and not go, wow, this is really weird. Like, this is really weird. All sides, this is some strange behavior from all four of these people. What are they doing? And that wasn't disrespectful to Kiely. Those four people, we think, didn't know her at all. They were just these people that got interested in this extraordinary situation with Kiely, and then their own behavior became quite extraordinary, and it was interesting, remains interesting. Yeah, Blue said definitely interesting. Yeah. How do you not think that was interesting? That Rando Ronnie, the guy who, has an African American head and Caucasian legs, how do you think that's not interesting? You can look at the video and go, okay, that definitely looks like white legs. Like, there's no doubt. It looks like white legs, and the guy's got blonde hair on his legs. It does. But then he gets out of the car and he's walking up and he's clearly African American. How did that happen? I don't know. But I know my own eyes. I am not going to be gaslighted by some bozo on the internet. I know what I'm seeing, and I don't know what it means, but I know what I see, right? You've got Upchurch freaking out, not sleeping, totally immersed in the case. That is so interesting. That no one in his camp is going, hey, Ryan, let's get some sleep, dude. Right? I mean, he and his mom are very close. You would think mom would go, hey, Ryan, take a couple of days, relax. You're freaking out a little bit. I know this is important to you, but you got to calm down and you got to get some sleep. You got to rest. And then you got Rando Ronnie over there. Ichtmel and Xana May are convincing the whole world that Rando Ronnie is real. And the question that everybody is having is going, okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me process this. Rando Ronnie speaks like he was at the party, like he was part of a group that watched Kiely all night, can describe what she was doing, going from person to person, group to group at the party, how intoxicated she was, and that she had been very drunk earlier in the day, unquote. This is Rando Ronnie. And he's buddies now with Xanamax, who's on a kayak paddling around right over the top of the car, right along the bank, all the way around the peninsula to get up into the little stream so she can pull her kayak up and then walk up on the opposite side of the campground. Does that defy logic? And I don't know what Ichtmel, I don't know if he's just like me and somebody called into his show and he had no idea who they were at all. And he just let them talk, just like that guy, I can't, Seafowl the Carney. There wasn't a person in this channel that wasn't going, hello, are you the one that got Kiely? Because you're kind of creepy. Remember that? So you are being sanctimonious and elitist to pretend that what went down between Ichtmel, Xanamax, Rando Ronnie, and Ryan Upchurch, you are being sanctimonious, disingenuous if you cannot admit that it got weird. It got weird very quickly. But there are those people. Oh, how dare you? How dare you comment on Ichtmel and Ryan Upchurch? How dare you? How dare me? This is a YouTube channel. Why wouldn't you have a reaction to what you're watching 4 other YouTubers do? Why would it seems like human nature. Maybe I'm not the one being odd. Maybe it's odd that you're saying that it's bad to talk about what these 4 people were up to. You know what I mean? Sanctimonious. Blue is struggling with that word. Rando Ronnie. That's right. It got very weird, Hybrid. It got very, very weird. Absolutely. I did feel so bad for Xanamax. She look, you know what? She totally was rude to Upchurch. That if you watch the first video where they were on panel together, she was condescending. She was insightful. She was smug. The comments were passive aggressive. No, she was clearly trying to trigger him. No doubt she was trying to trigger him. And she did, because he's Upchurch. And it's not too hard to trigger him. So once, once she got a reaction, then she sat back with this little smile on her face and waited for everybody to go, wow, what's wrong with Ryan? He's like out of control. Yeah, well, have you ever been gaslighted before? She was, Tiffany. It was incredible. Absolutely. Have you ever been gaslighted? It will make you crazy. In fact, we use the term crazy making. it was crazy making. People that are the target of lighting, especially by someone who knows how to do it, that they're good at it. People that are the target of that, they reach a point where they can't trust themselves. They can't even trust their own eyes, what they see, what they hear. It's a terrible thing to do to another American. It's a well, so Allie has got her cute little quote here. This is you, America. This is your future. Are you not entertained? Um, what do you mean, Allie? Gaslighting is horrible. My mom did it all my life. It is. It's a terrible thing to subject someone to. The BS started when male creators in this community had their male egos threatened by Upchurch. Oh, I don't even watch Glare. I don't know what he did. What did Glare? I don't want to know what Glare did. I don't know. It's a reflection of us. Oh, okay, Allie. So you think that what we should do is go, no, didn't happen. Nothing to see here. It was perfectly normal for there to be a party of 300 people, young people, every one of them having a phone and a connection to an internet. Every one of them, not a single video or photograph, none of the 300 turning information over to the police doing a press conference saying no one is cooperating with us. They are not giving us any information. And then they find this little girl, 16 years old, who was not part of Sammy Smith's group. She did not go to their school. Remember that. And she's the one that goes missing. Is that what you're saying, Allie? That nobody, that we should say perfectly normal. That is perfectly normal for a 16-year-old who graduates 2 years early because she's brilliant, who wants to be an orthopedic surgeon because she's brilliant, goes to a party with 18 to 25-year-olds that she doesn't know, gets shit-faced, falling down drunk, drives out of a park that she has lived there her entire life and knows like the back of her hand, and drives into the lake that she knows. Nothing to see here, Allie. Nothing to look at here. We should all just say, oh, that's sad. I'm sorry this happened to your daughter. And let's move on to the next case. Let's move on to the next case and give the name, rank, and serial number, and then move on. Is that what you mean? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? What about the case of Gabby Petito, Allie? What about that? What about the people that didn't believe the narrative that was coming out about Gabby Petito and Brian? Nobody believed that, including her parents. And it was people with a YouTube channel driving through the middle of nowhere, literally the middle of nowhere. And because this case about Gabby and Brian had been talked about and was covered in so many YouTube channels, so many states became aware of it. They drove past that obscure little white van in the middle of nowhere and said, oh my God, I think we've got that on video. That's how they found her. And here's a question, Allie. If you're better than all this, if you think that, that this is some kind of Roman emperor, Greece, and throwing people to the lions, if you think that, then why are you part of the spectator crowd? Right? Why be part of the spectator crowd? It is uncomfortable to you if you think that people that are discussing these extraordinarily unusual situations, if you think that it's immoral to discuss what is happening, then why are you here watching? Why wouldn't you want to not contribute to the problem? Right? I think I think that I think there are people, and it's not just on the whole true crime. I think there's been ringleaders. No, Alley Cattails is not Mommy Ramblins. No, no, that's not true. Alley Cattails is someone who's been in the community a long time, but she's friends with she she comes over here and talks. She goes over and talks with in AK's group of people, and then she also is in Mommy Ramblin's channel. So no. Everybody know. A lot of people know who she is. She's real. She's not Mommy Ramblins. No, I'm I'm frustrated by the hypocrisy that is in this true crime community. I'm frustrated by the hypocrisy. Um, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to put it out straight out here. I think that whatever the situation was that Kiely encountered, she didn't deserve. I feel angry about this narrative. She was so drunk. Ooh, she was so drunk. Okay, y'all stop for just a minute, okay? Where did you get that information from? Where did you get that information? You got that information from Sammy Smith and Max and Rando Ronnie. Now how are you feeling? When you stop and you go, okay, hold on a minute. How is it that this narrative of it was drunk driving? This is a classic case of DUI. It's so sad. Poor Kiely. Poor Kiely. Where'd you get that idea? Like, what in your mind tells you this was DUI? Did you see a photograph of her drinking? Do we have a video where she's got beer in her hand? Her good friend Kate says they were together earlier in the day making creme brulee. That doesn't sound like somebody who's preparing to go out and get, shit-faced drunk. She was actually supposed to go to a car show with her parents, and she got this, invite to this party. Have any of you stopped to say, okay, so who invited her? Who invited her? If she didn't go to school with these people, and she wasn't in their grade, and she'd only been friends with them 2 months, why was she there? Why didn't she go to the car show with her mom? Who called her? Who called her and said, hey, we realized that you're graduating, and that officially makes you a senior. You want to come party with us? Have any of you guys watched Mean Girls? Have y'all heard about Skylar Niece? There are some real questions here, you guys. There are some real questions. The same people that told us that she was falling down drunk was the same person that said, "Oh, I better get a ride with someone else because she's way too drunk. I don't want to ride with her. I better find someone safer because, I know about DUI." She's the same person that told you man, why are you believing Sammy Smith at this point? She told you that she loaned a black sweatshirt with a quote on it from Lana Del Rey. "I don't want to be forgotten. I just want to disappear." Oh, really, Sammy? That's the sweatshirt you loan her? Interesting. Still don't have a picture of her with it in it, though. All we got is Sammy's comments. That's all we have are Sammy's comments. Sketchy sweatshirt, falling down drunk, don't want to ride with her because she's too drunk for me. And yet, if she was so drunk, Sammy, if you were such a good friend, why weren't you dragging her ass into the car with you, with whomever it was that you found to take home? By the way, Sammy, her phone last pinged at 12:33 right on the water's edge. Why did she call you at 12:36, 3 minutes after the phone's last ping at the water's edge? What did she say to you, Sammy, in that phone call? I'm thinking it wasn't, "Hey, babe, did you find a ride home?" So, I am going to cover the cases that are interesting to me, and I am not covering cases according to clicks and views. If those of you look at my history, you can go down my videos and see what I've covered. I do not typically follow the big cases. Now, I go in and I watch it. I go in and I watch other people that are covering these big cases. I've seen everything on Summer Wells. I just don't do it on my channel. I choose topics. I choose these cases, the situations with people, because I find some level of interest in them. Kiely's case is a crime scene per AWP. They found her car. It's a crime scene. That's a direct quote. And if I talk about Ictamel and Xanamax and Rando Ronnie and Ryan Upchurch, it's because it is interesting. It is interesting what transpired between the four of them. It's interesting. It's interesting that Rando Ronnie seems to have been there and Xanamax is paddling around right there at the location. That child could have gone in the water anywhere. But man, the sheer luck of Xanamax coming right there. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Don't think the sheriff's department doesn't have her video. And those of you that want to show the world how much more principled and ethical you are, that you would never make a video about a missing person, that makes you a hypocrite because you're here. You're watching every one of these videos on Kiely. You're a hypocrite. Or you're being led by your nose. You're following a leader who's saying, this is wrong. True crime community should not be commenting on cases. This is wrong. These are unethical, uneducated people. These are horrible people. They're not as good as we are. Okay, so what is their comment about? What are their comments and content? Throwing shade at other people. That's about all they do, is they throw shade at other people. They focus on people and attack them and call them names and get drunker and shit on camera. That's what. So I fail to see how that's any better than someone who's talking about the case. Or the thing that triggered me was me talking about this 4 creator Armageddon. That's what triggered me. My coverage of what happened with Kiely, I have been measured, I have been careful, and I have been accurate. When I have speculated or discussed something, gave my opinion, I said clearly that it was my opinion or speculation. But a discussion about Ickmail, Rando Ronnie, Xanamax, and Ryan Upchurch, that doesn't have anything to do with Kiely at this point. Now, they may be fighting over information about Kiely, but that, if you go back and listen to my video, listen carefully to what I'm saying. I'm commenting on those 4 creators. That's who I'm commenting on. And it's silly. It's silly to think that because they found her car submerged, that means that there wasn't something nefarious and extraordinary about what happened to her. It is nefarious. It is extraordinary what happened. We still have no information from any of those kids that attended that party. We don't know if she was drinking. We don't know. We don't know those things. You know what we know for a fact, what the cops have actually let us in on? Number 1, no, we, the police, did not tell Jagger to collect evidence and go through it and filter it and only forward the credible stuff to the cops. They came out clearly and said, no. We know that the teen to teen events, the concert, none of that was sanctioned by the police. We know that because the police said so. So as Sammy is standing in front of microphone saying, come to me, bring your evidence to me. We'll go right over there in that van and you can tell me, and then I'll take it to the police and I'll hide your identity. So don't worry. Me, I'm the one. Bring it to me. The cops have said they had nothing to do with that. Sammy Smith's in trouble. She's got a problem. When they talk about an adult in the community is interfering with the investigation, which adult do you think they're talking about? Which adult do you think they might be referring to? Some random faceless person out in the mist? Or the little girl standing in front of the microphone screaming loudly, me, bring your evidence to me, bring your pictures to me, bring your videos to me, I'll get it to the police. We know that while Kiely was supposedly given a black t-shirt that said, I don't want to be forgotten, I just want to disappear, in fact, it was a white and pink Odd Future sweatshirt that is seen in earlier days wearing at a restaurant, which would make me wonder, is it her sweatshirt? So if she has a sweatshirt If the child's got a sweatshirt on, it belongs to her. Then why the hell is Sammy giving her a black Lana Del Rey, I don't want to be forgotten, I just want to disappear sweatshirt? Why? Her mother, Kiely's mother, comes out and says the black t-shirt, it's a red herring. The black sweatshirt with a pretty picture on it, don't worry about that. It means nothing. Okay, Mom, if it means nothing, then why is the website #find Kiely still showing the black Lana Del Rey sweatshirt? Oh, because you think that website Find Kiely, you think that was done by her family, right? Well, it wasn't. Who put up the website? Sammy and her friends. So leave your sanctimonious judgment at the door. I'm not interested in it. I'm going to talk about the cases that are interesting to me, and I'll do it in a way that's respectful and accurate. This is a case that is not going away yet. It's going to take a little while for the toxicology report to come back. It's going to take a little time. I suspect that there will be young people that are going to get now frightened, and they may start talking at this point. So we will see. All right. Okay. I don't know what I call BS is saying. What? Why? Why are we saying why? I don't know what that means. I call BS. Hey, hounds. Welcome. Good to see you. Ryan sounds like a QAnon follower. Well, but question. Who said Ryan sounds? Golly, I can't read that. Thank you, Sundown. There were a lot of QAnon followers. The FBI is doing the investigation of the car. Oh, that's okay, BS. I felt like the friend on the videos didn't show much emotion. If that was my friend, I'd be so broken. It's also strange. I agree with everything you said, Plants. I hope the truth will come out so the family can get some peace. There won't be peace. Clearly, it's a nightmare. But to have the answers when there's trauma, having the answers goes a long way toward healing. She knew Teresa. She knew the area like the back of her hand. This was her backyard. She grew up there. So my family has a lot of land, and so we grew up. I mean, the land we have is where my dad was born, and his family had been on it. At least his grandpa. So we're talking more than 130 years, I guess. We had the land has been in our family. And so we grew up there playing and running around in the woods and riding horses. And when you grow up in that kind of environment, it's just like walking the streets of Manhattan. If you grew up in Manhattan, you know exactly where to turn and walk down the hill to get to the creek, and you know how far to walk up before you're going to have to step over the log. You know where you are in the woods when that's where you've grown up. Your brain forms a map, and it doesn't matter if it's a map of city streets or if you're out in the woods. So it doesn't change. You know where you are. Now, nighttime, can make things difficult if there's not some moonlight that you can see. If it's pitch black, like it can be some nights, then you know, if you can't see the stars, if you can't see the moon, then you're going to just sit down beside a tree and sleep until the sun comes up. Once the sun starts coming up, then you know exactly what direction to start walking, and you know where you are again. So she knew where she was. Her path as to leave the campground where they claim that they were to where her car ends up, she would have had to have gone a back way more than likely. So there's still a great number of questions about this. Hey, Mark, thank you. Yeah, I got a little triggered by a couple of comments. So, but she left the back way, which was out of the ordinary. And anytime there's a crime and something happens out of the ordinary, you need to take a minute to try to understand it, because it's probably not a coincidence. So there are some curiosities, but of all the curiosities, of all the things that make no sense, one thing remains front and center, and that is no one has a party with 300 young people. When I say young, I say between the ages of 16 up to 26, okay? You don't have 300 people at this party and not a single photograph or video gets forwarded to the police. That doesn't happen. That's not real. It's not real. You have two young people saying, oh, the cops, we're working for the cops. That's us. That's me. If you're afraid of the cops, bring me your videos and your pictures. I'll decide what's credible and send it to the cops. That didn't happen, y'all. It didn't. It in no way is that even close to reality. Now, is it possible that Jagger legitimately was trying to just find out what happened to his girlfriend? Yeah, maybe, because he wasn't even around. He was like in Napa. He wasn't even close to what was going on. But I think Sammy's got a lot bigger problems. The phone call, she's the last person to see Kiely. There was that last phone call at 12:36. And frankly, I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to voice what I think that phone call was. I don't think I'll ever say it. Yeah, no, I've been watching it, Ryan. If you look at where she put her kayak in, she went straight across the waterway, and she paddled along the bank all the way around the little peninsula where Kylie's car went off into the water. She goes from the left of, if you're looking at, like if you're over the water looking at that part, the campground in front of you, she comes up on the bank on the left side. She paddled all the way around the end of the peninsula and up to the right toward the creek, and then got out and walked up on the other side from the campground. That was pretty lucky. That of all the places that she could have gone to get her video of where Kiely went missing, she was completely right there. She would have paddled close to right on top of the car. So it's either serendipity or a plan. One or the other. I don't know how she picked it. I don't know how she ended up there, but considering everything else that's taken place, it looks very uncomfortable. Ugh. Ooh. Yeah. So, yeah. The situation with Kiely is extraordinary, you guys. And just because they found her car doesn't mean that there was no foul play. You have no reason to believe she was drunk other than what Sammy tells you to believe. Sammy also told you the Black Lana Del Rey, I don't want to be forgotten, I just want to disappear, that was the shirt that she was wearing, supposedly. And it turns out the cops end up finding video where Kiely is clearly wearing her own sweatshirt, the pink and white Odd Future. You cannot believe what Sammy has said. You cannot believe what's been put out there. You just can't. And you certainly won't believe what Rando Ronnie has said. He's your other source for Kiely was so drunk, man. She was so drunk. She's falling around. She's going from one group to another. She was so drunk. Well, how do you know she's drunk? She's only there an hour. How do you know? Oh, I saw her. She was drunker than Cooter Brown earlier in the day. Oh, earlier in the day? Really? You saw her? Who saw her earlier in the day? Where are you coming up with your information that she's drunk early in the day? Nobody even got out to the party till 10 o'clock. Now you're saying the cousins left at 10:30. Make up your mind. So you can't believe what Rando Ronnie said. I don't know why the hell Iqmel and Xanamax are trying to convince us that Rando Ronnie is credible and we should believe what he's telling us. It's crazy. It's weird. It's strange. But you can't believe what Sammy has told you. We've gotten enough evidence now to know that she is not telling the truth. So there. I mean, that's that. Right? So this is not over. I said when they first found the car, and everybody's like, oh, see, there's nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. I said right then and there, I said, you know what? If the windows are down, that's going to be bad. If the windows are down, that would suggest a person wanting the car to be submerged quickly. That's that. All right. I have to go to work, people. This has been a great conversation. I'm a little triggered. I admit it. I own it. I got a bit. I can't deal with the sanctimony. I can't deal with it. If you don't want to talk about these cases, then don't come to the channel. This is what we talk about. I'm respectful. I'm aware there are grieving families that are involved. And the things that I choose to talk about are because I have information that tells me this is outside the norm for human behavior. This is worth noticing. This is worth paying attention. And what went on with Iqmel, Rando Ronnie, this whole, it's worth paying attention. There's something, it's worth paying attention that Rando Ronnie's got cousins and Xanamax is out there paddling around right there where she went into the water. These are things that really are worth noticing. They are worth inquiry. And what did Adventures with Purpose say? What were their exact words? Their exact words were, we can't give you details about the condition of the car because it is a crime scene. All right. Y'all have a great Tuesday. I got to go to work. It's going to be a long day, but I'll be back. Y'all have a good day. Bye.